Welcome to Snowball's OPL Top 5. Let's teleport back to lane and see what happened. Firing off at number 5, Praedyth shows off his insane ability to hit targets with global ultimates once again, this time with Jinx's Super Mega Death Rocket.
But this is certainly looking like an
Praedyth
absolute
kills
bomb.
When did that happen? How did that happen?
Yeah.
A second. Yeah. What? Well, we have a dragon that gets reset, so apparently Praedyth just launched a rocket?
He must have had vision.
We got to see a replay of that.
Yes, what happened?
I want to see that one again.
Yeah.
Because, by the way, that's not the first time Praedyth has cross-mapped something crazy. So let's take a look.
Volcan is obviously sitting in the Raptor pit right now. Sorry, in the Dragon pit. And do they have vision? Is this blind?
Oh my
That's blind.
God. He almost stole the dragon too.
That's second time in a row. 2 weeks. Last week it was the Ezreal stealing the Baron. Blind.
All right, so here's a silver lining right now for Praedyth, is the dude is a sniper.
Coming into number 4, Order are down a man, but when Swiffer is really feeling it, he doesn't need a jungler to steal Baron.
He hasn't even pulled the trigger on his teleport in. And he's just going to immediately start pushing that wave as soon as they get the smite down. One attempt by Swiffer to steal it away! You gotta be kidding me!
And Swiffer steals the Baron. A wry grin out of the captain of Order. That was the last play left available.
That might have saved the game for Order right now. They've got a long way to go here, Spawn, but that was about the only thing they could have done.
Leaping into number 3, both teams get the invitation to the bottom lane dive. However, Ryoma comes up huge and picks himself 4 of the 5 kills.
In this bottom lane, Volcan coming through looking for Crazy, but Rogue dies before it can all begin.
Ooh.
There's the last caress, a double kill for Ryoma.
The redive.
They juggle the aggro. They're going to be able to get a few more. Guts throwing out barrels. Rogue, FBI, hopping through. It's going to be Chaz and Guts flashing.
Gets it.
And
Ooh,
it's not enough, but FBI should be able to get the job done. But it's Ryoma that cleans it up.
And ironically, at the back end, the flash from Ryoma wasn't even necessary. The satchel charge there from FBI is still ticking on the head after the stopwatch times out, and that is just an explosive gold lead out of nowhere.
And Ryoma's 6-0 now.
They commit to the defense on the dive, and they get heavily punished here.
Tumbling their way into number 2, Mammoth charge over the Chiefs, and King picks himself up a triple kill.
And the fight's starting to go sideways from Chiefs right now. That's the double kill, looking for the triple. And King is on the board in a big way.
And a rampage now for King as well. Not just 3 kills, but 4 and 0 on the board. An 800 bounty builds up for him. Triple. Also just getting a little snipe there on the backside. Another kill for the Mountain Dragon. Now an Infernal on the back. This is such a big Mammoth team coming into the mid-game.
Coming into number 1, with a cannon play that would make Smeb proud, Mimic teleports into the flank and tears the Chiefs apart with his ultimate.
Damage, he gets stunned up, taken out by Raze, and all of a sudden Mimic comes to the party. He does get a massive stun, and that turns it right around. The quadra kill for the cannon, and he zooms his way out.
And that's one way to end with style. Straight towards the Nexus, the bombers will go off. A quadra kill for Mimic on the cannon. That is a flank and a half coming out of him, and they should just get the game from that.
And that wraps up the 5th week of the OPL. If you're interested in more League of Legends content, visit snowballesports.com.
Shut down! Lloyd's alive, he's burning up! Claire, that was beautiful!
They needed a miracle, he gave them everything and more.
And that's the double kill for the Bane! Baby, they clean up!
Hello, welcome to day 2 of week 6 of split 1 of the 2019 OPL. I'm Nick by Richardson, and I am joined by my painting buddies, Jake and Rusty.
We look fabulous, don't we?
Why am I always Jake? Why am I not Spawn?
Well, I don't know. I think in the same way that I'm Nick and I'm not Nick Boy.
Yeah.
Jake rolls off the tongue. Spawn doesn't sound like a nickname, it sounds like a handle. Rusty sounds like a nickname. So it's like Rusty is a nickname. Pyra is a nickname for whatever reason in my head. Ejim is not a nickname, so that's why I often default to Bryce. That's why.
Makes sense.
There you go. It totally makes sense.
That was easy.
What does make sense is they're all dressed like
Picasso.
I was gonna say
Michelangelo.
No. Who? Martha Stewart when she went to prison, because it's a dark apron with stripes.
And they also, I would like to point out, and this is not throwing anyone in production under the bus. However, whoever bought these aprons, these are cooking aprons. I checked the tag.
Definitely.
These are definitely not painting aprons. This is not a smock.
No.
This
will absorb and pass through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And machine wash them.
Which is why I'm not wearing a shirt today.
You're just very sunburned. Is that what you meant?
No, like he's wearing a shirt.
Oh, right. You mean you're not wearing like a nice
shirt. I didn't want to ruin a shirt. Remember when you were in
I'm wearing the most expensive thing that the production bought me.
Do you remember when you were in like school and you could either bring an art smock or one of your dad's oversized shirts to paint in? Did you do that in primary school?
I went to a very wealthy school, so
We
they
just had
provided us
smocks.
with painters.
Yeah, other people did that. Brass is giving me the thumbs up. I had a smock that like my parents bought for me, but I just wanted to wear one of Dad's oversized white business shirts, so I did.
Did you ask his permission?
Oh, absolutely not.
That
I think Mum just grabbed it for me, and then I just put fingers all over it.
Thulek says you guys blended into the sofa way too much. There's literally nothing we can do about that.
We're also not sitting on the sofa for any of the segments. We're standing up against this.
Because it's painting day. Do we have a wide of the blank canvas before we ruin it? No. There it is. And you can see that we are going to be painting Nico today.
Also completely breaks the illusion, yes, we are all in the same room. That's why, that's the part of the area where the sets collide.
Yeah.
I'll call it out before anyone else does. We've always been in the same room. This is how it looks.
So today we are going to be spending the day playing games of League of Legends, painting a picture a la Gragas last year. You talk a lot of shit about that, Gragas. It's time for you to step up and do something.
Put my brush where my Nico is.
I would argue it's a lot harder than the Gragas.
I wouldn't.
All right.
Looks pretty
think
easy.
so?
No, looks pretty simple.
Rusty?
Ooh, I think it's going to be a lot harder.
There's a lot more detail in there. There's a glisten in the eyes. There's a hopefulness that Gragas doesn't have that we need to capture. Bryce?
I disagree. I think this is easier than the Gragas. I think
Explain.
Gragas was just too much red stuff. There's reds and yellows and oranges, and this is like obviously blue is the color palette, but you got a butterfly in the corner. Like you got Nico's
That's
skin
the thing.
tone.
It's detail, right? Like Gragas,
Yeah.
you could basically draw a sentient beach ball and you'd be okay.
Yeah, which is
And we
tons
did.
of hair.
Basically what they did.
But before we get to the painting, we have the games of League of Legends on today. This is a good day.
It's a great day.
You were going to say something?
I was going to say there was a tweet yesterday that I didn't see until after the show that I found very funny, which was from Atlas, where he said this is the only League of Legends show where, you wish there was no League of Legends. And I was going to say today is not that day because there's very good League of Legends, and just for some stupid reason, that's the day that we've decided to not talk about League of Legends at all and paint a character.
I mean, if only someone had planned out what games were going to happen on which weeks, we could figure out the worst weeks and do the most interesting segments during then. But unfortunately, we don't have that technology. Today, the games all seem to be pretty good, Rusty.
Yes, they are actually all very good games, Nick. So whilst we are painting, there will be some pretty big bangers on in the background. So many standings implications, first of all. I know you mentioned at Spawn there's a lot of standings implications potentially for Order, but AV also looking for second place. Chiefs trying to keep that outright position. Gravitas potentially able to tie with Mammoth. Direwolves being able to tie with Legacy if they get the wins as well. Like, there are just so many different things that could happen from these 4 games that it is actually super exciting.
If you were to pick a game of the day, match of the day, game of the day, match of the day?
Direwolves Legacy?
Yeah, that's what I was going to pick as well.
I would have said that actually as well.
Yeah,
I think
okay,
game
cool.
2 is good as well, though.
I like game 3. If we're not gonna there is something about Legacy versus Direwolves because we only get to see them play 3 times, and they seem to be at relatively similar levels. Although Legacy may be pulling ahead at the moment. Who's to say? But I would say Avant versus Chiefs. If you're going to go on what will be the most explosive action-packed game, I think it'll be those 2 teams.
Yes, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Chat, let us know what your game of the day is. But let's get into the first one. It is Bombers versus Orga. Our Twitter POV stream is going to be Rogue. If you want to check out how Rogue plays League of Legends from Rogue's perspective, well, go to Twitter. Or break in here and just stand behind him. Won't creep him out at all. Here's 2 people who are creepy. It's Pyra and Bryce.
That was a transition.
You're such an asshole,
Every
Nick.
time. Wait, hold on. I'm just getting mixed signals. Yesterday he said "smoke 'em, daddy," and now he's calling us creepy.
Yeah, Nick's
a
a
hostile
blight
work
on the
environment.
OPL broadcast. This is a roughie.
Well, at least he's got artistic skills. Let's talk about the game
hope
because
so.
Bombers versus Order. Bombers are flying really high right now. They're the first team to get 10 wins in the OPL this split. They're kind of like until someone knocks them off the throne. They're sort of in the lead at the moment, and a lot of it. Honestly, every player has stepped up in one way or another, but I definitely want to highlight Balkan because yesterday he ran over the Wolfpack.
Yeah, he certainly did. Balkan mimicked the top 2v2 for the Bombers lineup in the Korean duo there. They've been running over multiple teams, right? But Balkan coming into the OPL, brand new player. Haven't seen him at all before this point, and he looks like he's just slotted in very nicely, right? Like, has been no growing pains, nothing going wrong. And I feel like for Order, in their game yesterday versus Mammoth, Taddy had a bit of a roughie in the Urgot Scion matchup, straight up getting solo killed by Topoon. And if he's getting solo killed by Topoon, rookie, then you have like Mimic on Bombers in his current form. Honestly, I'm scared for the top side of the map.
Yeah, Tally could be in a lot of trouble. I want to see how he's going to be able to level up. And for the entire squad of Order, I feel like there's players that we expect a little bit more out of on an individual level, but I don't know if they're getting drafted into corners. You take a look at Spooks, for instance, and like he's had a couple of Xinjiao games, including the last time they faced off against Bombers, and it's kind of just gone completely belly up. Like, that's a champion that has one direction in.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're not drafting a lot of flexibility on the Order side.
Potentially, like they do have a rookie AD carry, and I feel like he has had some rough games over the course of the split. Him and Jake in the bottom side of the map have been losing more often than they win in the 2v2s. But I feel like when you're talking about Spooks, like Xin Zhao is a thing of almost like a couple, at least 3+ weeks ago. Yesterday it was the Skarner, the first player in the OPL to bring that one out. So
also
it was a little
bit
single
directional, right?
Yeah.
Like when you think about it, I just feel like Order. I wanted to see them go back to some basics in the drafting. Maybe we'll see that happen again. It was a good game plan with this Garner. Problem was, there was a Scion that was unkillable.
Yes. Nick, on the other hand, has got his hand up. What you got, mate?
Well, you know that we're going to start painting.
Okay, cool. So that's going to happen while the game's on.
It felt like an important piece of information to give.
Yeah, can we leave this on during the draft?
Squat down, there
there you go. There we go.
Cool. Start painting.
So, so what do we talk about Pixelmans or do we talk about what they paint?
A little bit of both, I reckon.
Okay, cool. We'll get our color palettes mixed up. We got
first of
Galio,
all,
Silas band away.
Talk about Jake's belt is just very busy. I think he's got a couple of superheroes all over that one. So
yeah, I actually couldn't tell if they're DC or Marvel. It's kind of hard to see, or if it's something else completely.
I'm just not a superhero guy, so honestly, I couldn't tell you the difference, and I'm going to get flamed for that. But
that's okay. You know, like Bryce, there's only so much room in your head. You filled it with League of Legends. You can't fill it with superheroes.
There is a lot of League of Legends in there. So a couple of standard bans, I feel like, from both of these teams. Morgana being thrown against Order. That makes a lot of sense. Jake has always been a big Enchanter player, and she's a very annoying one for a player like Rogue to deal with. He wants to be blind in the Alistar, the Tahm Kench, this sort of stuff, and it makes sense to ban that one away. In terms of OPs, Red Side, Lucian, Yasuo, we've seen these banned a whole lot from basically every team in the OPL, so Order just kind of respecting the meta here.
Yeah, a little bit of cheeky giggles happening over there as they're starting to paint a nice, solid background. Speaking of solid, picks that are coming in are pretty much as expected on the Bomber side. Ryoma has been not shy about first picking this Lissandra a number of times. And for Order, you know, we've already got Jake's Thresh locked in, and Swiffer will have his hand at the Zoe. But a lot of power picks, with target bans, a lot of power picks do get left up. So you see the Alistar coming in for Rogue now.
Yeah,
this is on the POV. And it's a lock-in of the Aatrox. Now, I feel like this has got to be a Mimic champ then.
Yeah, but like, well, no, I think Colin can certainly play this one. Mimic has been the one to pick it up in recent weeks, and I feel like it is most likely going to go towards Mimic, but you have to respect the jungle flex. Order going for a very standard lock here in the Jarvan, and this is a bunch of OPs traded back and forward. You would give Thresh the advantage in the early laning phase versus an Alistar. He has a little bit more threat. You would give Mimic a little bit more, you'd give the Zoe a little bit more advantage over the Lissandra in the mid lane, as Rusty's just talking to someone off the side of the screen there. You had no idea, mate.
Yeah, he's doing a little doodle while it's happening.
Can I ask for just a tiny bit of professionalism?
No.
This is an esports broadcast.
I'm trying to tell someone not to come on set because my mic is live. And I was writing it.
And so I like the strategy you guys are going for, actually getting a background.
Yeah, well, this was Jake's idea.
Yeah.
And I would say it's pretty solid that we're starting. What did you want? You wanted the Bob Ross build the bones.
Yeah, exactly right. So what we're doing right now is we're going to do the background, which I think like is pretty much done.
I feel like you need more green
it's
in the bottom
lighter on the right hand side.
You guys need a bit of green on the right, I think.
Yeah, around the bottom corners. Green
yeah. Well, that's the next layer technically.
Order need a couple of 80 carry bands.
Background and skin.
Yeah, so Ashe and Varus taken off, just removing the utility stuff. This is a team comp from Bombers.
We're blending
already.
it on the canvas.
Yeah,
we're blending it on the canvas.
We'll see what they end up finishing off, because I feel like there's a lot of pick on the Order side again.
Well, yeah, that is the thing. Like, Order have the capacity to force with a Jarvan, but they do have very nice single target pick, Thresh and Zoe, but Bombers have their comp rounded out already. You have a list, you have an Alistar, you have an Aatrox. There's nothing that the bottom lane of FBI and Rogue are going to look at here and just be like, oh wow, like we need to pick towards this. As I have absolutely no idea what Jake is saying.
No, I think he's just trying to figure out how best to fill the background.
Yeah.
Cool. Eddie Carey's getting filled in as well. Xayah for Dream. FBI, wouldn't be too surprised to see the Kai'Sa come through. It fits nicely into what the team's trying to do. But they don't need to pick it now. So they take a Vladimir, and this does start to flex things around a bit.
Yes, it's going to be...
Vladbot?
Yeah, Vladimir in the bottom lane. FBI, he said when he was playing Victor games a couple of weeks ago in the interviews with you that, yes, he does play the Victor, but he also plays the Vladimir. So not surprised to see this one locked in. Not surprised on the other side of the coin as well with the Xayah for Dream. It is just a comfort champion for him. Probably the best AD carry on an individual level, but that is a spicy lock-in.
Yeah, so Spooks gets back on the Elise. And we now see that the Jarvan's been flexed up to the top.
Yeah.
So this is a J4 Aatrox lane. I don't think I remember the last time I've seen that.
Yeah, it's been a long while. I feel like you guys have done some very swift painting here, Nick.
Yeah, look at how like full the canvas is, except on the bottom side now. I really like it.
I would argue this is 90% of the work has already been done. If we remember Gragas, it was mainly just red and a bit of orange.
I don't know.
This is
getting
blue.
like Nico has a lot of like colors in her hair and stuff. You're gonna have to like really get that detail.
You're really expecting way
I was about
too
to say,
much.
expect that to not happen.
I have high expectations of both of you.
Interesting. But talking about the comps around it, of course, this was the Jarvan flexed up to the top side. Spooks going back onto the Elise, and this is like a Thresh in the early game and Elise in the early game, or to have a lot of capacity to make things happen. But when you look at how this game tracks onwards, I feel like the Elise certainly scales off. The Vladimir is kind of just ramping up to that 3-item spike, and then you have the team comp. You have Vlad, Liz, Ali. This is a wombo comp from the Bombers, and if they ever find a team fight post 20 minutes, you have to be fearing for order.
Yes, we will for sure. And to talk about this game a little bit more, we are joined by Weston Wave from Bombers. Thanks for being on the desk.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, good stuff. So the team is, clearly mood must be very solid within the team at the moment since you guys have been stacking so many wins. How do you keep the team necessarily from getting like a little bit too cocky, a little bit overbearing ahead of games? Do you just expect to win, or do you just tell them, hey, one game at a time?
No, I don't think anybody's like coming into games like expecting to win or anything. I feel like everybody recognizes that it's still in the regular season, and so the goal is obviously just to pick up as many wins as we can, try and get the best placing in the gauntlet. But everybody recognizes that just because we've won the most games now, it doesn't mean that we're going to be able to win finals. So yeah, everyone's still very focused.
Certainly want to be ramping up towards the end of the split. I want to ask about someone specifically in Balkan. In multiple Bombers members' interviews, they're talking about, wow, like this guy is just playing so well, being able to have some freedom in the jungle role. Like, is this where you expected him to be only 6 weeks into the split? Like, he came out of basically nowhere, and then this is I feel like people talk about his English isn't necessarily up to par there, so communication can be an issue, but he's just playing so well.
Yeah, I mean, Balkan was kind of the product of a really long scouting process for us. We spent a couple of months scouting him, watching his solo games and everything, and he's an incredibly high Korean challenger jungler when we recruited him, and he'd been up there for quite a long time. So we were expecting him to be better than the other OPL junglers. And in terms of how he's functioning with the team, each week he picks up more English, and each week the communication gets better with the team as he learns more.
Certainly looks like the case here as Rogue's going to cop a few auto attacks to the back of the head. I want to ask more about, like you mentioned, process, right? Like for you as a coach with this year's Bombers, I feel like the team identity is very different, right? You have hard carry threats in almost every single one of your roles. Like what were some of the mindsets for you going in? Like what were the biggest challenges you thought you might face?
I think obviously coaching such a talented team and a team with quite a lot of experience on it would be something which is challenging for me because they're all incredibly smart, and in terms of a lot of the time they know everything that I can teach them. So just having the challenge in terms of how I can contribute really well to this team when that's the case, just focusing on making sure that the strategy and the prep is all good.
Would you say then, as of 6 weeks in, the team has kind of met or exceeded your expectations as a coach that you had from the start?
I think it's still too early to call that. I think, our goal this year was to win the OPL, and I think, until we do that or until we make finals, then yeah.
Fair enough. Keep it going. Thank you so much for joining us, Weston Way.
Thank you very much.
All right. So as you pointed out, Bryce, Rogue kind of got set on the back hoof for just a second, but he stayed in lane, and they've just conceded lane pressure for the time being between the Thresh and the Xayah.
Yeah, Alistar level 1 is just notoriously bad, and then face checks a Thresh, Flay. Bunch of auto attacks means he does lose his potions. FBI also got fairly chunked in the early start of this game, so they're just sitting back as much as possible. You can see it's a Ruby start for the Vladimir in the bottom side. Wants to have that little bit of extra beefiness as he works towards his first item, because you do have another couple of options, like he can go towards the boots, especially against a duo like Xayah and Thresh. Skill shots do sort of reign supreme here, so he certainly had options here, but potions gone. Spooks tracking down to the bottom side. This could be dangerous for the Bombers.
This is what you said. The draft phase order is going to want to get something done early with their jungler, especially. Spooks will wrap around here. Double buffs on. Now they know what's happening. FBI holding on. Cocoon is not going to land. And he's going to rappel up to try and juggle that aggro, but all of a sudden Order can't go any further, so that was a great defense by Bomber's bot lane.
Yeah, call a spade a spade. All of the CC goes wide there from Order. The Cocoon misses. The hook from Jake at the back end also hits a minion. But you can see Rogue lost his flash. He went for the predict onto his old teammate, his old jungler in Spooks. Flash pulverized to try and get him before the rappel came through, but timely use of the E button gets the Elise to safety, and the dive isn't that successful, but they do blow the summoner.
True. He does have Hex Flash available to him. Spooks is not done just yet, though. He tries to head up to the mid. Another dodge on the Cocoon. Ryoma is now out of mana, though, so he'll be forced to back away.
And you can see what Balkan has done on the other side of the map. Individually just walked in, taken the Raptor camp. Now you see Swiffer floating over with Spooks to check the top side of his jungle, but is now just clearing out the rest of what's left, and Balkan knows exactly where he is on the other side of the map.
You did say this top lane could be a little bit of trouble for Tally even before we saw the lock-ins, and there's already a sizable CS advantage in favor of Mimic.
Yeah, there is, and I feel like to talk about this, you kind of have to frame it as draft resources. The Jarvan was a very early lock-in, and he is a fairly blindable jungler at this stage in the meta. Not the best top laner. When you look at top lane at the moment, it's like Aatrox, the Urgot, the Scion, stuff like this, so you kind of, not to put a microscope on Spooks, but this Elise pick has to do things early for kind of going down the tier list in top laners like the Jarvan that they've opted into, right? So this Elise has ganked bottom lane, got the flash, went mid, forced Ryoma out, and he also has already TP'd back to lane. So doesn't have a kill yet, but has certainly had action on the map, but we will be keenly tracking how much he can do before the rest of the Bombers composition really comes online.
Well, that's fair. On the flip side as well, we've obviously seen Balkan take this Kha'Zix and do incredible things with it over the course of several games now in the OPL. Do you feel like there's a similar sort of timer, though, on a champion like Kha'Zix that does want to get carry damage out?
Potentially on an individual level, but into this sort of composition, not really. He's going to be playing on the flanks much more and being a nuisance as this tracks into later and later game. He's probably got to put the Max or the R Revolve into the W and just be playing on the side, because he has a Liss, an Ali, a Vlad to just be the main threats in a team fight. They don't rely on Balkan to kind of win them the team fights. They just rely on him to get them through the early stage, which they didn't die to Elise gank mid, they didn't die to Elise gank bot.
But maybe they will in the jungle. Nope, Spooks doesn't want it, doesn't have enough damage anymore.
Yep.
So he's out. That's usually not a good sign.
Yeah, Swiffer actually in base, walking out back to lane, so he knew he couldn't overcommit to that one. Hits him with the Cocoon, hits him with a little bit of damage, but actually can't keep chasing forward, so does ultimately just have to back away.
A lot of action between the two junglers early on in this game, though, and I think there should be a lot more focus around this bottom side soon enough. You can see a lot of vision being invested by the Order side. Yep. There's an Infernal Dragon first.
Yeah, and I feel like Spooks may just be looking to start this one up in the next couple of minutes. Swiffer rotating down. That's a very deep pink ward just above the red buff of Bomber side of the map, and he does know Balkan's here, steals away the Golem.
Just one, though. Doesn't land a Trouble Bubble onto Balkan. Level 5 on the Kha'Zix. Won't have access to the ultimate for just a minute or two more.
Because they still do have a couple of minutes on Alistar's flash to look to punish. Pre-level 6, Alistar is a very gankable champion. Any CC is a very easy follow-up. If it's a hook, if it's a flay, the Cocoon comes afterwards, and he will just die before he gets that Unbreakable. So
he's got no flash anymore, too.
Yeah, Rogue is certainly a pickable champion at this point in time, and this is what the Zoe list matchup sort of does. It is a kind of a consequence of red side versus blue side. Blue side feels the need to opt into just strong flex picks that ultimately may get counter-picked, but they are just strong champions overall, and that is literally the identity of this matchup.
Oh, look at what, is Zoe going for a steal on the red? This is hilarious.
Oh,
almost got it.
Q goes wide, but bubble lands. So
yeah, Swiffer, with all the vision that Order's invested bot side, they're tracking Balkan.
Certainly are, and look what he's doing with it, right? He's not just sitting in his lane, he's not just poking out Ryoma. Every time he gets away... Ooh.
How did that happen?
Yeah, okay.
FBI was by himself. I want to see that in a replay now.
Yeah, and I feel like that could have just been a little bit of disrespect. Rogue not in range, but he still has the TP. This is a recall coming through from Order's bottom lane, and he has the Executioner's Calling. You expect that sort of itemization out of Dream onto a Vladimir this early in the game, but that's just straight up first blood for the bottom lane, and that has to feel good.
Yeah, it does go to Jake on the Ignite, so it's not picked up by the AD carry. Here's the replay again. FBI was just way out in front for some reason.
Mustn't have had pull on the back end of that one. Did not use it at all on the replay. And you saw where Rogue was. He was deep warding his own jungle, trying to protect from these roams that Swiffer has been constantly threatening the bottom side of the map, and just straight up wasn't in range. FBI overcommits a little too hard to the 2 versus 1 and gets immediately punished.
Yeah, this means Order can push a little bit harder than they already have. Getting themselves more than one. Here we go, the flash, the hook, and they find the Alistar. This time it connects. Dream is going to claim the kill credit for this one, and it's a 4-man dive onto FBI. The feathers are flying up, and FBI is forced to flash, but he's just prolonging the inevitable as Swiffer picks up a kill, and it is all on the bottom side.
And Order with a vendetta against their ex-bottom lane. Ryoma now rotating down, but they're not looking for the fight. They're just looking to defend the turret, but you can see the timer on Rogue's flash just came up as he was walking out of base, so they had it timed to perfection. They dived the bottom side of the map. Whole 4-man commit as soon as the cocoon, the flash hook from Jake, and that's the execution now. A 30 CS lead for the Xayah. This, for a bottom lane that has had some troubles in the last couple of weeks, Order heavily investing here.
Yeah, this is pretty big. Bombers are going to leave Balkan here to try and chase them away. The Dragon wasn't started by the Order side, but Bryce, you talked about how Order do have to get out to a big start early. It seems like they're doing just that right now, building up well over 1,000 gold lead. Yes, this top lane is a bit of a roughie, as you said, but everywhere else seems to be going well.
Yeah, that is certainly the case. They still have to keep snowballing this out. Once we get to team fights, Bombers certainly do have the upper hand.
By
this
Balkan.
is sneaky. Balkan is definitely a solo, like, Dragon, solo Rift Herald Goblin. He loves doing this sort of stuff.
And they can't stop it.
Yeah, over the wall. It's kind of on a weak side of the map. Their bottom lane literally just got dove. And he can do this because he kind of reads Order's play. Like, yes, they're going to dive out bottom lane. They're going to reset, look to set up the map once again. And it's one of those cheeky plays that if a single member of Order thinks about and walks over to the Dragon Pit, Balkan has to respect it. He's like, we don't have any priority. My bottom lane is literally dead. I have to walk away from this one. But against the tempo, gets the sneak, and Infernal Dragon in the back pocket of a losing bottom side of the map.
Tally getting jumped on by Mimic, still is able to walk away. Yeah, so talk to me about how big that is. You know, usually we look at Infernal Dragons as being, you know, later stages of the game, they're massive because that percent is applied to all the AP and AD you have.
Yep.
But at this point, how big is it?
At this point, not that big, right? Like, they don't want to be forcing fights around a Vladimir who's like pre-level 9, pre-level 11, but it is just one of those things that Order somewhat already feel like they're on a little bit of a clock comp-wise. We've mentioned it multiple times, but this just accelerates that timer. Infernal Dragon, very effective on a champion like Kha'Zix, but especially on a Vladimir. He is straight up a 3-item death cap champion, and then looks to one-hit your backline. There are so many squishy targets, a Thresh, a Xayah, a Zoe, and a Elise that FBI can look towards as we track into the later stages of this game. So Infernal Drake being given over definitely doesn't feel good when they have control of this side of the map.
Ooh, forces the pool out. Yeah, for Order 2, it's not just this game that's a timer, right? Like, it's in a way their season that's kind of reflected at the moment because it is the middle of the second round robin, but Order have been on a losing streak. It's 4 losses in a row, and they're trying to come back from that as Jake gets caught between 3. This will be a kill for Bombers, and Ryoma's the one who gets it on a roam down bot side.
And Rogue with the second flash pulverized this game, gets onto a flashless Thresh, and we'll just take him out for free. You can see Spooks was tracking down to try and defend the bottom lane. And
cross map instantly for
this
Bombers.
Is just the instant Rift Herald start. It is a 3 versus 2, and Order know what's up.
Swiffer's coming through. Let's see if he can maybe steal that
Bubble
one away.
lands.
He does get the bubble on, and Tally comes forward. They're going to delete Balkan off this map now.
Mimic didn't pick it up.
Yeah, he can't quite grab it, and into the pit he goes. He's going to die as well. Nice reaction, but Ryoma does come in for round number 2. Going to get that cleanse out. Swiffer's going to be forced to hop over, but he's going to come right back on, and that is a Jabate on the opposite side. Swiffer even lives.
Aatrox running over the wall. Jake is looking for him. I don't know if he spotted him on the back end of this play.
There's the ward. Let's see if he gets the execute here. No, he didn't. Didn't time it right. But the saving grace there is Ryoma does pick up Rift Herald.
The saving grace for Bombers, yes, they get the Rift Herald, but look at Swiffer. He just got, like, he's a 4-0-1.
Oh, holy
Zoe
crap. Yeah, I just realized he just picked up a lot.
He goes back to base, finishes his first item. He's already been, like,
Ludens.
forcing the play on this sort of the map, right? Like, he's been pushing in mid, annoying Balkan in the jungle, pushing in mid, diving the bottom lane, and now he's just infinitely stronger than where he was a couple of minutes ago. That was a very close play Dream once again.
Yeah, he gets caught. Looks like not really going to be able to do a whole lot there as he was trying to take out the Scuttle Crab. Did manage to get it, but that was a high price to pay.
Certainly was. The kill goes over to Bombers. Jake is going to find himself a Kha'Zix.
Yep, and an FBI as well. And to top it off, might as well add Rogue into the mix. So Jake will die. Aggro being juggled. Goes golden to buy time. Balkan is going incredibly low here. So Bombers invest a lot of time into this, and you actually see Swiffer roaming down once again, but it's going to be a little too late.
And this is just disastrous from Order, right? They lost the Rift Herald on the top side of the map. They're looking to set up a play with Swiffer with that advantage he just got, but picks onto the bottom lane against the tempo. They lose almost all of their summoners, and Spooks looking for a cross map towards the top side, and respected here from the Bombers. You can just see the answer just always seems to be here, and the gold lead is feeling pretty even right now.
But Order are definitely playing with a lot of urgency right now, not just because of their composition and the results that we've seen recently. It just seems like they are trying to make as many plays as possible. The issue is they're getting a little sloppy. We see Dream getting caught out there. We saw a fight that could have gone either way in the Rift Herald side, and it still resulted in Bombers picking up the Rift Herald. But Order are keeping some pace. Problem is, their gold lead's not huge. Turret plating's about to drop.
Yep.
They need to do a little bit more, and they need to do it now.
Ryoma sitting on absolutely 0 mana, has the Rift Herald, so halves his recall timer. That must feel good. Has the TP to get back onto the map, but once again, Order making a play. That's a TP from Ryoma,
It looks like Bombers are going to be there first. They look for Dream and Jake. Ryoma, Rogue is going to knock him back. Dream trying to run back and away, and there's Tally, and the rest of Order come to bargain. It looks like they'll be able to make quite a deal in this fight back and forth. Order are going to be able to clean up in a 1-for-2 situation.
And that just looks like straight disrespect for League of Legends. Mimic does not have TP. He can't make it to the play. Balkan is on the other side of the map. Order just teleport down Tally. The rest of the members rotate to the play, and this might just be first brick for Order.
Yeah, Balkan was sniffing around to try and get a pick, but the rest of the team comes to chase him back. Tower race is going to be won by Order. Yep. They do get first brick. Mimic will be able to answer sooner or later, but Order are the ones controlling the tempo right here. They're the ones acting first, even with the teleport play early on for Ryoma.
And this is just a very aggressive game between both of these teams. Tally kind of playing ring around the rosy here with Balkan. And
he's just waiting
level 10 to level 8.
This is actually a pretty big advantage for Tally right now.
Still has
Balkan's going to have to go invis.
Cataclysm was available, but didn't choose to use it.
Order are keeping tabs on Balkan this game, and I feel like that is the way that you have to do it to win against Bombers. Here's that play again.
And we're going to see where it is. Look where Mimic and look where Balkan are up on the map. Dream has no ulti, no summoners, so he is kind of just dead meat at the start of this play, but all 5 members from Order are in the bottom lane versus the 3. There's just no way this fight was ever going to go successful, and they just hard commit to it. Rift Herald out of the replay is going to break the mid turret, but certainly not a play they should have been looking for.
Doesn't get a second charge off either, so Order are able to cut that one down. Still holding on to a 5,000 gold advantage. Is not massive at this point, but you know what is? Swiffer's damage is definitely going to sting.
Yep.
5 kills on the Zoe and counting. And Spooks has been involved in so many of these too. Like, I do want to give him a pretty big passing grade for the start of this game because he has been all over the map.
Yep, certainly has influenced the bottom lane early, went towards that mid side, and has just been at every play that Bombers were sort of looking towards. This is somewhat going to be the hard part of the game for them to snowball out this top side of the map. You can see Australia lanes coming into effect somewhat. Order just flipping after they take the bottom side. They take the Ocean Dragon off the back end of that play, and now just looking to pressure Mimic on the top side of the map. He's actually opting in for a 2 versus 1.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. He does have Balkan in his back, and clearly that was going to be telegraphed, so Order do back off.
Yeah.
Still going to be able to push this wave in.
Potentially looking for a little bit more. FBI was also resetting on the bottom side of the map, so if that play continued, the Vladimir had the capacity to TP up here top side and look for one more of these plays. And I will say, like, there's certainly merit in that flank TP bottom lane. You can see Bombers are looking not just at what is happening now, but preempting the play. This is a triple TP comp, and it's not like it's an Ezreal with TP from a bottom lane where you don't really care about a flank. He just uses it to accrue farm more than anything. This is 3 champions that can literally get behind you and will one-hit you if they do. So the flank wards from Bombers over the course of time have been pretty good. You saw in the top 5 plays before the broadcast even started, Mimic, 5-man cannon ulti blowing up the enemy team. That is prepped from a flank ward from
Chiefs,
Rogue,
by the
right?
way.
Like, this is stuff that they are actively thinking about. They're looking for these plays, and mind you, that last one did just fail. The numbers advantage wasn't there for them, but still the proactivity you have to count on.
Not for nothing that Bombers are currently 10-1, right? Like, there is going to be a lot of shakeup if Order actually win this game. We've been talking about them in an aspirational way because they've actually been keeping pace. Problem is, as you pointed out, there is a big timer. That Vladimir will become a massive problem. We've seen Balkan over and over again take over games, even on this Kha'Zix, or especially on this Kha'Zix as well. And Ryoma and Mimic know how to do exactly what they need to. Like, everybody on this team does their job and they do it well. This is what makes Bomber such a well-oiled machine.
And I think does their job is the best way to put it. This is a team with FBI in the bottom lane, Ryoma in the mid lane, Mimic on top side. they can all hard carry a game if they need to, but every time they get into a situation, they're happy to take the back step and sit back for the rest of their teammates. FBI is very low.
Oh, Swiffer! He just was holding that one, waiting for number 6, and now they've landed another cocoon onto Rogue, forced the flash away. In comes Ryoma, and Order, they're pretty happy to take this fight right now. They just have enough firepower. In comes Tally as well. It looks like he's going to get the jump on the back, but he bit off a little more than he could chew, and all of a sudden it's a Bombers turnaround looking for Dream. They're going to take him down, cut him down to size. That looks so good at the start for Order, but it's on God sideways.
Yeah, absolutely. Losing 3 members off the back of a single pick. It was a 4 versus 5. Mimic rotating down. Didn't have access to the ultimate to keep himself alive for the first 5 seconds, but Tally and the rest of the Order lineup, they just overcommit to the play, looking to dive underneath the turret, and they just get cleaned up on the back end.
Yeah, that's just, you hate to see it. Bombers looked like they were going to be on the back foot, but as you mentioned, big overcommit. Here's how it all started with Spooks jumping onto the Vladimir.
Because this is a very nice read, right? Rogue walks over to try and defend his 80 carry and FBI, but that's a very nice paddle star, and a singular pick is gone. Jake has the capacity to walk up, play hook the Alistar, but looks for the predict onto Ryoma, who gets a very nice re-engage. And look at this flank from Mimic, just waltzes down from the top side of the map. Doesn't have ulti for the first few seconds, but he can just keep committing from this point. The dive onto the turret fails, and there's just no health bars for either of the carries. Zoe is incredibly low. Dream on the Xayah, incredibly low. And Mimic just looks to chase down Spooks on the back end.
Yep, team went 2 different directions. That was part of the problem there, and Mimic really disrupting the play. Once again, he kind of pulls it off. He gets into the back line of an enemy team, and he disrupts. Great play. It puts Bombers in the gold lead closer to 20 minutes, and that starts to shut this door a little bit here. And another catch. Spooks has got nowhere to go. He repels up. He's going to flash, but still taken down.
Burns all of the cooldowns, still dies. That certainly feels rough. I'm interested to see what this dragon is, because the contest is certainly here. Must be a good one. TP comes out from Mimic.
Yeah, Lantern going to get taken away here, and it looks like Order going to try to make a break for it. They will be able to do, and it is another Infernal for Bombers. They're going to be smiling ear to ear.
No jungler available, no smite contest here for the red side of the map, so this is just going to be an easy clean. And
that's a big shutdown.
He was the one shining light for the rest of this composition. Was 6-0, had a 700-ish gold shutdown, and now hands that over. Order feel like they're falling to pieces.
It looks like Bombers also kind of woke up a little bit. They just started matching the aggression, perfectly timed. So now they just have a massive lead in this game.
Yep, certainly do. Now they get the proactivity. They can set up on the map around Baron. 20 minutes has hit the table. Double Infernal Dragons. 4 kills on the Lissandra. Volcan also very large in this game, and the composition certainly coming online.
So if you're Order at this point, Bryce, how do you stop the bleeding?
You just have to commit to plays. Like, the thing they have is picks, right? Like, I feel like as this game scales further and further, we've mentioned it, it does favor Bombers, so they have to kind of play against the flow of the game. Tally's going to have to be walking over. Right now, for the next maybe 3 minutes, he doesn't have to, because he does have TP advantage, and they know that, but they have to be the first ones to the play. They have to be setting up around the objectives that they know Bombers are going to contest to, because if they give Bombers the first setup around the Baron, there's no way they're walking through a choke.
Yeah, and trying to take little advantages, or at least deny things away from Bombers. You could see that Smite steal away on the blue buff means Ryoma's going to have a harder time in these fights, but they can only really do chip damage to these turrets. Even Dream's going to have to walk away from the Aatrox. That's pretty big, as he's chunked down to half health, and the rest of Bombers starting to come up river.
Sitting on the Infinity Edge, and the Execution is calling, is working towards his second crit item. Probably going towards that Rapid Fire or the Shiv, but Bombers secure themselves the Scuttle Crab and starting to deny some of this vision Order have in the top side of the map.
That they do. Bombers going to try to push out some side waves as well. Order on the bottom side have sent Tally to do just that as well. And yeah, we're starting to look at the 2.5 item. Xayah does hurt a little bit, but Dream has to be very careful as he has been getting caught out on some side lanes. That's enabled so many of these Bombers pushes. Swiffer has still been the shining light on this team, sitting on 2 items of his own.
And I mentioned it before, but look how squishy Order's composition is. The Zoe is going to land the bubble, but Volcan is just sitting around. He's just looking for a play, looking
stack some CC
for these picks. Does get chunked down. Aggro on the Baron. He's going to hit Mimic. He defends his brethren in the jungle and cops the paddle star for his teammate.
Order do have a moment to maybe push, but no, FBI is there. It seems like Bombers have put up quite the defense.
But look at the state of the map. This is the reason why Order have to go then, and now they have to back away. Top lane, hitting their inner turret. Bottom lane, hitting their inner turret. And every member from Bombers collapses into the center of the map, and Order have to go back. If they just stick around, if they want to sit here in 5v5 ARAM, they're just going to be losing so much farm. They're already behind in almost every role but the AD carry position. So Dream in the early game, given how much attention Order put towards the bottom side of the map, makes sense that he has a gold lead and has done well to maintain that for the course of this game, but everywhere else is really falling apart here, and Bombers looking to make a chokehold play around the Baron buff.
They are. They're split up right now, but they do have a couple of teleports still to rely on. Mimics is on half his cooldown, but FBI and Romas is up. And just so much vision.
Tally.
Bombers owning the river.
Getting picked on the bottom side.
Whoa! 2-on-1. Goodbye. That's going to be tower.
Yeah, this is a nice play. Balkan is just the king of cheeky trades, right? Against the tempo, he steals an Infernal Dragon underneath. Ooh.
FBI going forward once again. He's just baiting as much as possible. The attention on both sides here. Dream is just entirely distracted, chasing for those kills and even forced to ultimate up. Rogue's going to go in on him right now, might give his life for it, but they are going to get so much more as a result on the Bomber side, continuing to push both waves.
Yeah, that was just a very brave play from Rogue. A little bit of miscommunication as FBI backs away, but they do get the inner turret on the bottom side of the map. Order look for some control, but ultimately do just have to back away, and the gold lead is just steadily growing here for the blue side.
Yeah, that was effectively a kill traded for a kill in a tower if you consider the whole minute that preceded it all. So 24 minutes into this game, it definitely has gone Bomber's favor, and Order are left to try and stop the bleeding as a teleport comes into the mid, forcing Swiffer to jog away.
Mimic's also rotating down, forcing the rest of the Order lineup away.
And he gets out just barely. The flay comes through. Jake trying to body block it out for Swiffer, and they're caught in the choke point here, but Dream has already copped a kill, or one death, I should say, and Mimic is able to get away, but Tally goes forward once more. Second win, not going to be enough to get the kills they need. There's the stun. Lissandra ultimate coming through once again. FBI into the pool. They just can't stick on a target long enough. But that's not a problem for Bombers. They keep chasing here. It doesn't matter if the Alistar is asleep at this point. Tally into the cage. Rogue taking tower shots. Tally will stay alive somehow. But Balkan forcing the flash out of Swiffer. Bombers have so many tools to just keep engaging. Here we go.
Extended close fight between these two teams. Multiple Order members go in for the play, flash out on the back end, but they're just using the ultis. I was going to say, like, is that initial pick enough for Bombers to walk towards Baron and just blow open this game? But
it was a 2-for-2 and a tower.
Yeah, they keep committing to the play without the ultis, because that is the big thing, right? If Order get a pick, Bomber's composition is very ultimate reliant. Vlad, no damage without that ulti. The Liz, that is basically the only tool she has to get onto the backline. So once those cooldowns are down, Bombers go for the safe play and back away.
Bombers do have more tools to work with now, though. The death caps come in for FBI. Balkan obviously has been a threat. Ryoma has been stacking up kills, including that massive shutdown onto Swiffer.
Yep.
And he's rocking quite a lot at the moment. So Bombers are not getting any weaker at any point. And I feel like Order are still kind of searching for options in terms of getting these kills. Bombers are just dancing out of the reach some of the time.
Yeah, they're just wrestling for that topside control. You can see how hard it is for them to actually commit and actually maintain any vision around the Baron, because the side lanes get pushed in, the Bombers just rotate over, and I feel like it's important to, like, whilst there is a little bit of a lull, I don't expect them to fight for about another 2 minutes, but how they got this lead. There's like the expected play in League of Legends where you break bottom side, you flip the map, and then you start making these plays. This was like Bombers making very ambitious calls, and then Balkan against the tempo, getting an Infernal Dragon. They're setting up around the Baron. On this Assassin in the Kha'Zix, he sneaks around, doesn't look to just start up the big purple worm and force a team fight with the Alistar, with the Lissandra. He goes bottom lane and picks on Tally over the wall and gets that pick for them to also rotate up the map and force onto the base of Order. So it's very interesting how they play.
Oh! Swiffer's out. He's very out. He's ignited. He's dead.
That's the worst way to die.
That is the worst way to die. Just have someone run at you. And Spooks might be going down as well. Mimic and Ryoma chasing on him here. Nowhere for the Spider to go, but gets squished. Order can't be safe in their own jungle, and you can see the frustration on Spook's face right now.
That should be enough for them to go over towards the Baron. The contest is going to be super rough if they go for it. They have the damage, they have the tank stats, and 5 versus 3 is going to be a free Baron buff for the Bombers.
Yeah. Well, hard earned, but at the end of the day, they pay a grand total of 0 for it. It's all Order. Payment was charged. That's going to be the 27-minute Baron. Bombers firmly in the lead, well on their way to an 11th victory here in the OPL.
Yep, the 5k gold lead kind of just stuck around from the 20-minute mark to about that 26 point, but now certainly going to blow open this game. And they have the capacity with TP up on List, TP up on the Aatrox to just play all 3 lanes. They have kind of a multitude of options here. They can force. They can Hex Flash over the wall with the Alistar and just 5v5 dive underneath an inhib, or they can just split push. They can sit in the top lane, 3 people mid, opt in for the 1-3-1, and put the Lissandra on the bottom side, and they can kind of do whatever they want to be able to close this one out.
They have so many options at this point. And Bombers don't ever seem to be a team that get kind of paralyzed by choice, right? They just go for whatever they can, opportunistic picks. You can already see Spooks. His health bar is just disappearing. Yep. They don't even need 3 members there, but they sent it for good measure. FBI picks up the kill. Everything falling into place right now for Bombers, and everything falling to pieces for Order.
And Order just desperately looking for those picks. That is the weak side rush. They lose the Baron and have some control on the bottom side, so Spooks walks in and tries to look for something, but the immediate collapse there. This is middle in hip broken.
Oh, just Hex flashes over the wall.
Yep. That's what it does. That is the most, like, it gives you opportunities. Not every Hex Flash has to be useful, but you just sit there channeling it and your opponents have to respect it, and honestly, that is why I think it is such a useful rune.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
Especially on a champion like Alistar who wants to close those gaps. So with one inhibitor broken, they let Clockwork move on to the next one, and there's not much Order can do but sit back and watch it happening. All 5 members in their base, and they're afraid to engage.
Yeah, Mimic says, here's one I prepared earlier, walks the wave in, the rest of his teammates walk over, and now that Spooks is back up on the map, Bombers, they're just going to channel their recalls, reset the game, and it's only 28 minutes. This dragon that's popping up isn't even going to be the Elder, so Baron, with a single pick, breaks open multiple sides of Order's base, and Bombers just in complete control of this map. TP to buy themselves some tempo. They're looking to potentially end the game with this Baron.
They might just be able to do it. Bombers are one of those teams that don't seem to let up once they've had a grip on the game. And they're just so far in front right now. Everybody is fed.
Yeah, they are. Like,
that's crazy.
800 gold shutdown on every single member
This is like an
of the top
FF
side
Go
of the
next
map.
game.
Hey, this is certainly a roughie. 9k gold in the lead. Certainly incredibly strong right now with the Baron buff. Do they look to siege?
Yeah, I mean, look at the difference on everybody, but especially in the jungle. It really just is credit to Balkan for going against that tempo. Like, it all really started with that dragon play. And that is just what an asset Balkan is to this Bomber side. And big credit to the scouting, the extended scouting that Weston Way was talking about that really netted them the stellar jungler.
Yep, Hook already thrown here from Jake, and the Cocoon was already gone. So
FBI's here too, inside the base.
Doing what Vladimir does best, and is just looking for the flank here. List goes
in. Hit the go button, and it's just 1, 2, 3. Everybody from Order disappearing. Spooks is forced to flash away from his own base, and you got to think it is all over but the crying. 30 minutes, Bombers going to be on to the Nexus.
And Elise picked up on the back end. They're pushing in with the wave, and onto the turrets. This will be game over for Order.
This will be Order just making a token resistance at the end of it all, but they will be falling once again. Another loss stacked on top of it. But it's hard to expect to win against a team that is just so dominant as the Bombers. Methodically moving about the map, turning against the tempo, going for the fountain dive for the ace at the very end, and they will take down Order's Nexus and stack an 11th win in the OPL.
And this team just looks so incredibly dominant, right? Like, there were moments where Order were getting ahead in the early game. The Elise influences bot lane, she goes mid, forces Ryoma out, but once they get some sort of advantage, it's just consistently snowballing. They're finding the picks. They're playing very fast League of Legends. They're an entertaining team to watch, right? Like, it's not a slow, methodical style like the Dire Wolves play, like the Legacy play. This is super high tempo. This is aggressive comps, and this is like creative play from multiple members. And it just looks so good to watch.
And it's not just decisive, right? It's confident League of Legends.
Yeah.
It's Bombers know that they are pound for pound and play for play better than the competition. But they also don't let it get to their heads. We've been talking to Weston Way about that. They just seem to take every opponent as it comes, every game at a time. And I think until somebody challenges them, the rest of the league is on notice. Can you beat the Bombers? Can you best them? Only one team's been able to do it, and the Chiefs got smacked down in their latest meeting.
Yep, that is true. I somewhat disagree with you. You're definitely like, Bombers, very good team. You're like Bombers, god tier team. I think there were certainly moments that game where like they are playing disrespectful, like the TP into the bottom line with the list.
Hey, that's the flip side of confidence.
Like it's a 5v3, right? Like so there are moments of lapsing, right? So it's not like this is not the perfect team, but they certainly are making a case for being the best team right now.
They're definitely not flawless, but compared to everybody else, they just seem to be on a whole nother level, and that's, I think, the point. So let's see what the Couch, our illustrious artists, have to say about that one.
I thought it was supposed to go to you, but apparently it's back with me. Hello, I'm Jake. I, once upon a time, hosted the OPL, and I guess I'm doing it again.
He's back! The reason it was going to come to me first, and I guess I'm going to do this, while you guys do this, I'm going to start on the outline of the picture. Now, to kick you off, it looked like Order were off to the greatest start ever, Rusty, but it seemed like some stupid mistakes in the early game just led to the downfall.
Yeah, that was a significant lead through bot lane. There was kills, there was summoners burned. It was onto multiple members. They were bringing down Zoe. You know, Swiffer looked fantastic. A lot of things seemed to be, I would say, going very right for Order. And then, and this may just be a hot take from an outside perspective, right? But it felt like they didn't have a game plan past about that point, past about the 5 to 10 minute mark. And it just felt like a bit of a collapse. People getting caught, not making objective decisions, just getting caught up in the moment. And that's the kind of, like, if you ask me, that's the kind of thing Bombers want. And it's the kind of thing that Otter played towards.
Yeah, I think, like, I kind of disagree in a sense because I think that their game plan was actually pretty sound. Like, obviously, they wanted to pick on bottom lane very hard. They had Zoe, who has permanent shove against Lissandra. Bombers are a team that will 100% pick Lissandra blind. Yeah. I assume they can play it in a couple of roles, but Ryoma just plays it very nicely at the moment. So they had permanent control of the bottom lane. I think it went wrong when Balkan was able to sneak a couple of objectives against the flow of the game. Because if that was a Fire Drake on Spooks, and he could have taken it from about the 6 minute mark, but decided to invest his time into ward as opposed to, taking it because they had bottom lane always shove, mid lane always shove. Spooks could have just soloed it. And then Balkan also got Rift Herald against the flow, even though Order got 3 kills with it, led to mid lane turret falling down. In a Zoe lane where the Zoe was 6-0, like if they didn't get that Rift Herald, that mid lane turret is probably still standing right now, and I think we're having a different conversation. So I think you just got to credit Balkan because he was able to flip the map when they were behind, and the 1-3-1 setup was always going to be very good from the Bombers, but he accelerated that stage of the game.
Yeah, there's two things there for me, right? Like I think the Balkan is actually a really good jungler, but I define him as a loose unit. Like he does things that you may not expect. He's a very crazy jungler in certain ways. Like that ability to pick people off where you wouldn't expect him to be there is actually a talent and a skill that he has, and he's very good at it. And the other thing is that I think Order recognized they had a lead, but I don't think that they wanted to trade with the lead that they had. They wanted to secure everything.
No, definitely. They wanted to force. And I think that, I don't disagree with the call to force because when you have a look at it, they, multiple times this game, they had, Zoe bubble into immediately blow Vladimir up when Vladimir hadn't even ulted. So that's a straight up 4v5, not off an ultimate, just off a bubble landing. And then for some reason, Jimmy would dive a turret or Tally would dive a turret, and then all of a sudden the team fight goes poorly. I think that, the idea is right. You should be forcing, but you need to force around objectives, not force around kills. And they just got bloodlust, I guess, whatever you want to call it. They saw red in the screen. They wanted to kill Rogue and FBI too many times.
Rose-tinted lenses.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you doing? I'm trying to have a serious conversation here.
I think I've made skin tone.
I don't think you have.
That's we're going to say yes.
Yep, let's go for it.
That's bubbly peach.
And that's a lot of paint. Let's try not to use all that paint, Nick.
Let's
try and...
She's got a huge amount of face.
Let's try and minimize the paint. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, if you have a look at how the game actually ended, this is a really classic top tier OPL ending, whether it's Chiefs, whether it's Bombers, as soon as they get Baron buff, they look to push down every single inhibitor, they look to force one last team fight, then they look to close the game, and I think that that's the most impressive thing about this game. It was a back and forward early game, mid game, but when they got the lead, they just smash you with it.
Yeah, and there's only a couple of teams we've seen successfully do that, Bombers being one of them. Chiefs with the lead does seem to be another one as well.
What the...
It's her face! It's a face. It's the beginning of a face. Look, see how it's blue and then there's a spot? It's called a face, mate. You've got one. Jesus, you'd think you'd recognize it. You see it in the mirror every day.
I thought we said light amount of paint. Light amount of paint.
I told you you're the dad of the OPL. Wish Mum was here. Are you guys done?
I think so.
We're going to throw to Ryoma, who's at the desk.
Thank you, Nick Boy. Okay, so you guys stacked another win. It's 11 in a row, but it did seem like for a little while Order was kind of getting the better of you guys in the early game. Were you surprised at how fast they were coming at you?
Yeah, I think they played really well in the early game. I think they used their champions really well, like Elise, Zoe. They used their counter matchups really well. Their bot lane were winning lanes. Their top lane wasn't winning, but they played around their win condition well, and yeah.
Yeah, and especially you were kind of getting bullied a little bit in that mid lane, without any jungle assistance. How do you, as a mid laner who wants to go in and make those plays, how do you adapt to kind of having to play to a weak side when all the other lanes are also playing the same way?
For me, I was looking to be proactive, and I TP'd bot and then it didn't work, because I didn't ult the right person. But I just needed in that matchup, I just need to just relax and then wait for like level 6 and then look for something like to kill the Zoe or kill the jungler, and yeah.
Wait for the right moment and strike. Yeah. And you guys seem to. It really started with the turnaround from Balkan when he took the dragon after you guys had a disastrous play on the bottom side. So talk to me a little bit about how those calls are made in the team. Is that a single person just saying, I'm going to do this, or do you guys just have it all in all of your heads collectively?
Balkan normally suggests it, and then like we say yeah, because like in that type of in that time we were losing something on the other side, so we need to answer something back. We need to trade something, and that was the trade. Like we're doing Dragon, we're doing Herald, like when we had to. And yeah, the Herald didn't work out so much, but we got the Herald, so...
You got it in the end. Yeah. Still counts. You're the one who had to pick it up. Okay, so last question. This is a hard analysis one, so, you know, if you need to take a second, it's okay. What do you think of Nick Boy's paint skills?
The Gragas one was looking good, but I'm not too sure about this one.
This is exactly how Gragas started, baby. You're looking through rose-colored glasses at the end result. Art's a messy process.
Oh. All right, back to the messy process.
All right, so here's what we've got so far. So we've got a head. We've got the beginnings of her torso.
Yeah.
This is her long-ass arm.